Hiya, it's Amanda here from Lolli Crafts, and today we're going to be taking a look at the new-ish, I think they've been out in about a month, watercolour markers that are for the Cricut. Now basically what they are is markers like any other watercolour marker that you have, but they'll fit in your Cricut machine. I don't know about other markers fitting in. I would be cautious about using other ones, but we know that these are designed to be used in the Cricut machine. I purchased the watercolour cards to go with it. You don't need that, you can use your own watercolour paper, but I wanted to just have the complete set so that I could show you what was available. So the ones that I got were the watercolour cards that go with this new card mat. It's called the 2x2 because basically it's got two sections, so 4 sections for holding cards. Now I don't want to get too hung up on the mat today. We will be doing a separate video completely explaining how the mat works, exactly what it's all about, and all the different options available with that mat. So although I'm using the mat today, don't worry too much about it. You could use this watercolour stuff on your regular mat and just using flat pieces of watercolour cardstock. So for today though, we're going to look at these and how they work. But what we're going to do first of all is hop on over to the computer and we're going to look at Design Space, and we're just going to show you on there the first step. Okay, so the watercolour pens are pretty easy to use. You can use normal images that you've got, and as long as you pick them carefully so that you can watercolour the images so that there aren't lots of lines overlapping or colours that will be sort of overlapping so it goes all murky, then it's fine. However, there is a whole section, as you can see here on the front of your Design Space, that is for watercolour cards and images. So what you've got here is there's the cards, which is similar to what I'm using here. As I said, don't worry too much about that method of it being on a card at this point in time. You've got that image, or you've got images here that are watercolour and that are then cut out. So you can pick those, and they've done a number of free ones here so that if you're starting out, you've got a couple that you can choose from that are free images. So what I did was the rainbow actually came, and this image did as well. It came with a cut edge around it. So all I did was when I had the image, it had, say there, like the rainbow, and it had all the layers, and then the last layer was the cut layer. So I just highlighted that one layer, which was the cut layer in this case, and then I just clicked on delete. So I deleted that cut layer. I then put the word on. Now in order for this to know that these two belong together, even though they're not on a piece of card, we want the Cricut to know I want them to be together in the same place. So I did attach. So I went around both of them and I attached. I did exactly the same thing with my holly leaves. So if you don't want the sentiments, or you've got different sentiments, all you want to do is click detach. Then you'll be able to grab the sentiment on its own and delete that and add your own, and then just, as I said, highlight both and click attach. Or if you don't want a sentiment at all, then just get rid of it and leave it just as it is. Okay, just one more thing before we go on over to the Cricut. What you do want to also make sure is that the markers or the pens that you've got marked up here are correctly labelled for several reasons. One, when you're doing things like we've got here, we've got writing and as well as the watercolour markers, it will get confusing if they're not labelled correctly, because you're like, what pen am I meant to be putting into the Cricut at this point in time? First of all, we're going to have a look at this one. It's labelled as marker, but we also want to see, you can see here we've got infusible ink, but if you keep going, you've also got watercolour, and I think that it would be simpler and easier to have it marked that way. It also therefore has all the correct watercolour inks as well that are in your kit, so you know that, you know, if you stick a pink down, there isn't a pink in the kit, so that would be annoying. So if you use the watercolour ones, you know that you're going to actually have a colour that fits. So again, we're just going to check now. For some reason, even though this was labelled as watercolour on the as a watercolor image, I should say, it didn't have those correctly labeled, and it definitely does not have it correctly labeled on this rainbow, which was also meant to be a watercolor one. It hasn't even got it, oh, this one has, because I changed it. But if you go to this here, for example, it's not even labelled as a marker. It's done as a fine point, which is not hugely helpful. So I'm going to go through and I'm going to change all of these. So if you come and you want to try this out, you can have this all done correctly for you already. I'll have done it. Okay, so I'm going to mark these up correctly, and then we're going to go to our Cricut and start cutting, I was going to say, but it's not cutting, it is drawing. Okay, so it tells me that it wants me to load the red marker into clamp A. So you just want to undo that. You've got a little pen there. You want to make sure that that gets right inside so you can't see it, and then lock the clamp, and then load your mat. Wait for the little Cricut head to start flashing, or it's not a little Cricut head anymore, is it? There we go. And here we go for step 1. So next it's asking me to load my black marker. I have to move it when it whizzes back. And don't forget, that black was not the black watercolour, and that was the other reason that I wanted to be sure that these were labelled up correctly. And then it's just saying unload the mat. Okay, so in the kit you also have a little water brush, so I'm going to just unscrew that and pour a little water into the water brush. So I'm just going to get rid of that part, and this could be a disaster from here, but we'll give it a go. So we just put a little bit at the bottom there, put the top on. Make sure it's nice and tight. Take the lid off, which is a very decent lid. Normally I only just do that bit. And then what you want to do, not over your work obviously, is just squeeze until you get some water coming through. Like that. You can just see, hopefully on my hand, there we go. Look, you can just see some water coming through. You want to just get that brush a little bit wet so that it's starting to come through, and then you can start working on your actual piece. Now, I haven't tested this myself, but I've been told that these watercolour pens last quite some time before you need to worry about the watercolour part drying. I know with a lot of normal watercolour pens, you literally have to do one bit and then you have to watercolour it and then you have to do the next section. This apparently lasts a long time, so I've been fiddling around. I've put my Cricut away, I've tidied up, got everything ready for you so you guys can see what's going on, put the water in the brush, and we're still getting colour coming off here, look. So we're just going to bring that red into the centre. What I don't want is I want like a little white bit there so it looks like a bit of shine. So we're just going to go round. Not doing the best circle here that I've ever done, but you know, it's watercolour. That's what they always say, isn't it? It doesn't matter. I have to say, it always matters to me because I get really irritated when it's not nice and tidy. I don't know if any of you are like that, but it's just like, oh no, I like it tidy. And you can just keep smudging away at it as much as you like. And then we'll go to the next one. And you can do as little, I guess, or as much as you want. You can leave the lines pretty strong. I've tried to soften these quite a lot to really blend that line in. Nicely blended out. There we go. Here we'll just clean the brush off a little bit and get a little bit of water coming through. So here we're going to go across this line here, across the centre, get some real colour going. And around the edges here. Just softening those lines down a bit. Just pushing some of that colour back, just to give just a bit of contrast really to the look of it. And there we go, our first watercolour card. Just a very simple Christmas card, but really effective, and you could do quite a few of those in one go. And as I said, it would look quite nice if you had it as it was designed, which was have the holly leaves so they cut out, and you could pop them up onto a card, just a normal card. If it was on, say, a green card or a red card, that would look really effective. And you could do the same with the sentiment, cut that out, just, you know, on a normal piece. So I think that looks really cool. So let's have a go at our rainbow now. We had a slight issue with the rainbow. You won't have this problem if you just leave things alone. I decided to twist it because it would have been that way around and it would have been fine because it centered it, but I decided to move it and turn it around and I didn't quite center it correctly. So we'll do something, we'll put something down there, we'll make it work somehow. So we're going to take our watercolor brush again, and we're going to start on the outside and work our way in. Okay, so there is our little rainbow done. So now we just need to put something down that side to make it look a little bit less wonky. Okay, so I just added some gems down that side, and then I found some washi tape that was kind of rainbow coloured as well, and I put some gems around the corners, and I put a tiny gem on there as well. So I thought that kind of brought that together really nicely. And this one I just left well alone because I thought it looked just fine as it was. So that is the watercolour pens. So as you can see, they're pretty simple to use. As I said, you don't have to do it using these cards like this, so don't get too hung up on that idea. It's literally, you can do it on any flat mat that you've got with watercolour paper, and then just add them as layers or die cuts, whatever you want to do really. So I think that it's a really cool concept. I really like it. I think it'll be fun to use. So yeah, I think it's a really cool idea. I hope you've enjoyed taking a look at these with me. I hope you like the finished cards. Thank you so much for watching. And of course, if you have any questions or any tips yourself about these, if you've used them, then let me know in the comments below. And of course, as always, I'd be ever so grateful if you could subscribe, like, and all that good stuff. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you again soon. Bye for now. Bye.